What's going on, everybody? Dash Michaels here, and welcome to episode 1 of Shorts and Hoodies. My guest tonight is Josh and Joey from GingerFlix, and we are talking movie franchises. Let's go. Welcome to the show, everybody. And like I said in the intro, this is episode numero uno of Shorts and Hoodies. This is the S&H Internet Talk Show. Break that down, the acronym, if you do not know. Before we get going, make sure to like, subscribe, follow, stalk, and turn on that bell for all notifications. Don't you dare change that dial. And let's get rolling with tonight's conversations. And also, before we begin, let me just say, just in case, because of the topic that we are talking about tonight, spoiler warnings, spoiler alerts all around, because I can guarantee you the stuff that is on HBO Max, the stuff that is on Disney Plus that we are watching, all that stuff will probably be talked about. I don't want an email, I don't want a message, I don't want a DM, I don't want anything unless it's all nice, sappy love stuff. My guests tonight are two soulless gingers who talk about movies. This is Josh. This is Joey. How are we doing tonight, guys?
All right. Thanks for inviting us.
We're good,
Josh.
Man. Dude, we're good. Dash, your voice sounded so dashing, should I say?
Again, how do you kick somebody from a Zoom call?
You're gonna have to figure that out soon.
I'm just saying, I could listen to that like on, you know what I mean? Like that'd be nice to like go to sleep to, just Dash reading you a nice
he doesn't want to put his audience to sleep, Josh.
No, I just mean it's calming.
He wants his audience to enjoy the show.
Look, I'm just saying it was calming. That's all.
He doesn't want his audience to be driving down the road and drive off the friggin' highway because they're falling asleep to the smooth, lustrous sound of his talk.
You have joined in the 103.5, the quiet storm.
That's what I'm saying.
Is it one of those late night radio shows? Yeah. I'm excited now.
I'm gonna throw some good R&B music over this.
Oh, yes. Buddy.
Can you play some like Casey and JoJo from
that's a deep dive.
Deep dive, baby.
Deep dive.
See, that's a good reference though, because I'm from North Carolina and so is Casey and JoJo.
So there we go.
Those people are national treasures here.
I remember. I'm a little bit younger than both you guys. I just remember Casey and JoJo being like the top song at grade 8 dance.
Oh yeah,
that was the song.
Crazy, All My Life or whatever, man.
Yeah, All My Life.
Those are the slow jams of like the 90s. Woo.
And we're from up here in Canada, and you know what? We love our North Carolina folk too. So you're good. You're with good people here.
Good. All right, so today's topic of conversation, we are talking movie franchises. This is one of these topics that I get into a debate on what is the best of the best. And I got on the conversation with my best friend probably about a week ago, and this is kind of what preempted me to want to do this as my first show, because I know a lot of shows will kind of jump off of this point.
Actually, before we continue, I just want to thank you for inviting us for your first show.
Well, thank you.
This is your pilot, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's everything, bro. Everything lies on YouTube.
I was gonna say
you're screwed, man.
No pressure. Thank you for inviting us to the pilot and the finale. This is amazing.
Grand opening, grand closing.
No, the best thing about podcasts is you decide when it's over. Nobody's paying for it, so it doesn't matter.
Cue the music. Cut the check.
It doesn't even have to be good. At least that's with our show. Our show's not good, but someone listens.
Well, that
might
one
be
episode,
just our moms.
The one episode that y'all had when y'all were talking about Justice League, that was a phenomenal show.
We had a really good guest. I can't remember who the hell it was though.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah. No, I had so much fun and doing the show with y'all.
Oh, we had fun having you. To be perfectly honest, it was a good conversation, and we are looking forward to have you back for the next Justice League movie, which is the same movie. Strangely enough,
we got about a month. We got about a month, and at least
I mean, we're obviously we're recording this early because the show doesn't come out until March. But for anybody who knows me, knows I work for dance competitions and stuff, and so we're doing a lot of recording beforehand. So today is February 13th, and for the people who don't know or haven't seen it already by this point, that trailer drops tomorrow. For
the new trailer.
Yeah, the full-length trailer, like the official trailer for the Snyder Cut.
It's gonna be.
So is Zack Snyder gonna drop in Hallelujah in it again?
I was gonna say,
no, it'll be somebody else singing it though.
It'll be
the Jeff Buckley version.
It won't, because he only likes.
It'll be like
the Leonard Cohen version.
Yeah,
it'll be Lindsay Sterling or like Ellie Goulding or something like that.
I will say that I don't know if you saw the little snippets though. You get a little bit more of the black suit.
That's going to be exciting.
The hair is just like
flowing.
Oh,
hey, I'm down. Just
yeah.
We'll talk about it. We'll talk about it.
Yeah. So going back to what I was talking about before, I thought it would be interesting for the first show that we would talk about movie franchises, but do it in a way. And I'll pull this up here.
Okay.
All right, so this is a snake draft, and for those who don't know, each person has one pick in each round. Each person makes the first round based on a predetermined order. We're gonna go right here, starting. Boom, boom. Right here, we're going here.
What up?
We're going here. We're going there. Okay. And then
what about the middle? I don't get to start. What is this garbage?
You're always second. Just deal with it.
I'll always be number 2.
The other thing is you have 1 minute to decide. Okay.
All righty.
So, yeah.
Cool. So wait, are we? Sorry.
Question. I think we're just naming off franchises and talking about them and then moving on.
Yeah. No. So you're going to draft your franchise, and pretty much what movie? There's always one movie that really just kicks that franchise over the top. Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay. What is it about that movie? What is it about that franchise that puts it as your number one spot?
Okay. Cool. Cool. Yeah.
So, Senor Joey.
All right, I'm gonna just do this mainly just to bug Josh, but I'm going with the original Superman franchise.
Okay.
And it's honest to goodness, it's the first one. And then if you go thinking about it, Superman 2 is what brings it over the top. After that, it all sort of falters. Mm-hmm. But I mean, it's my actual introduction to Superman, and then just hanging out with Josh over the years. So I mean, this for me is what sort of
Superman. What are you talking about?
For those of you, I don't know if this is on YouTube or it's just going to an audio medium, but Josh.
No, yeah. So we're gonna be on YouTube. We're already on Spotify,
okay.
Google. We'll be on Apple. All that stuff.
Yeah. Okay. So for those of you who aren't able to watch the video right now, both Josh and I are wearing Superman gear. I've got a Superman hat on, and Josh has got a T-shirt, and he's drinking from a Superman mug.
Yep.
So if you don't listen to our show, I mean, I'd argue that even in our show, we did an episode on Superman and we rated it 5 out of 5. It's not a perfect movie per se, but for us, it is the best movie ever.
Even better than Superman 4: Quest for Peace.
That is wonderful.
That's a tough one.
That is. I will say. Superman. Okay. That is the one thing about movie franchises that in a way upsets me, is that you will have your Superman 2s, okay? And then you have the other end of the spectrum. You have Superman Returns.
Quick question, and I'm sure
I'm sure you guys you get reactions like that. Where I thought Brandon Routh, his looks and everything was uncanny to Christopher Reeve.
Well, that's why he was cast.
Yeah, right. But the movie left more to the imagination. I wanted more.
The problem with Superman Returns, because Superman Returns, I'm pretty sure I saw that like 4 times in the theaters, just because I was so hungry for like a Superman movie.
Right.
And honestly, I remember the first time I saw it though, and the title sequence was practically derived from the original Superman title sequence.
Right.
And I admittedly, I kind of teared up because hearing that John Williams score, seeing that exact like title sequence, I was like, this is
and all coming at you. Yeah.
I thought it was beautiful, like, and it was so I'm talking about just the title sequence. It was
like childhood reborn.
Yeah, and it was what, just talking about Superman, like, I grew up watching those movies, and then seeing that finally on a big screen with a new adventure, I was like beyond ecstatic. Plus, I did this whole really geeky thing when I was there, and I could talk about it another time. But the problem with Superman Returns, it was just boring. Like, it's not. Yeah. He was fine as it, but if they just went with a totally new take on the on the story instead of Bryan Singer trying to pay homage to the original movies, that's why it didn't work.
I think the argument here is just the team that was involved with being Bryan Singer and then the writers he hired. They just were trying to be super fans instead of actually taking the time to go out and develop or work with a new story. I mean, and on top of that, Superman itself, that follow-up or prior to Superman Returns, had been in production for 10 years or something like that, something crazy like that.
I mean,
like pre-production for that movie was ridiculously
because it was going to be Superman Lives.
Exactly. They went from Nick Cage to,
there was the J.J. Abrams like flyby script. Yep. There was the Kevin Smith script, the Tim Burton. It was.
I still think Tim Burton would have been interesting to see, especially him coming off of Batman and Batman Returns. It would have been interesting, I think, at the time. I don't think it would have been good.
I think the problem.
I don't think it would have stood the test of time. Rather,
I think the problem is at the time with Tim Burton, all of his movies had this dark gothic look to it. That's why he worked well with Batman.
You guys did not watch Pee Wee Herman then?
No, I did. Yeah, and I know, but no,
that's his first movie. That's his first studio movie.
But I'm talking about time.
Trust me, Tim Burton could do Superman.
No. I'm not saying he couldn't do it. I'm not.
He would do it better than Zack Snyder. I'm saying it right here on this podcast.
Well, hold on.
You're hearing it right now.
Well, hold on. I'm not saying he couldn't do it. I'm just saying, at the time, his movies had this dark tone to it. I'm not saying it.
Definitely.
I'm not saying all of his movies, and I'm just saying at the time, like that era. All of his movies were dark.
Again, I'm such a big Tim Burton fan. I love just his choices in cinematography and his choices of camera work and all that stuff.
I liked his choices up until Alice in Wonderland, and then it was like
I'm not even. I'm just talking about cinematography here. I'm not talking about story or anything like that. I always thought. Awesome. Pardon?
Alice in Wonderland was awesome to me.
It was visually stunning. It was beautiful. Like, and that's, for me, that's what Tim Burton is. His work visually is gorgeous. Doesn't matter what he's doing.
Well, I liked Big Fish. Like, so what I was trying to say though is that we know he can do like a brighter movie. Like Big Fish came out in the early 2000s, and that was also another beautiful movie and had a different tone.
Later on, coming in hot with the controversial #1 pick, huh?
I'm just saying we've taken so much time here.
That happening.
Let's keep going.
Suits,
yeah, I thought we just wanted a minute, like per.
No, shit, talk, dude, talk.
It's already Sunday.
Yeah. All right, Josh, who do we have? What do we got?
Okay, so I feel like I'm gonna say the obvious choice, and that's the MCU for me is the top one. I think between 30. Not 30, but like 23 movies.
29? Well, 20, we're looking at 29.
No, 29 with future projects.
Right. Yeah.
But currently 23 movies and WandaVision and Falcon and the Winter Soldier coming out, very soon. I got to go MCU as the top choice for me. And
what's your standout?
For me, and again, I know
Tread lightly.
It's a winter. For me, it's Winter Soldier.
Thank you. Fucking God, thank you.
Yeah,
the best movie in the MCU.
Dash.
Black Panther aside, Black Panther's up there for me. Winter Soldier. Oh,
Black Panther.
Go talk.
See, I don't even want to. I like Black Panther. I'm gonna
I like Black Panther too. Yeah. There's a lot of plot holes in it.
I'm just gonna say that. But Winter Soldier, I feel like, okay. First of all, I was never a Captain America fan. I'm not even a big Marvel fan in terms of the comics. I've read a few comics, a few runs here and there, but yeah, like Joey said, like we are Superman fans and like DC. However, Winter Soldier comes out. You know, I remember watching all the stuff leading up to that, and the movie before that was like Thor: The Dark World, and then before that was like the Avengers.
Only
right?
MC movie I've never seen it was that. Never saw Thor 2.
Thor: The Dark World isn't bad. Give
it a watch.
It's okay, but I mean,
I know how it all ends.
out of the entire
Exactly.
that's also true too. But out of the entire MCU, it could be argued the Thor movies currently at this time are the weakest.
I put Ragnarok at my top.
Aside from Ragnarok, up until Ragnarok, all the other two Thor movies are fairly weak.
Oh yeah.
Comparatively.
But anyway, so the Winter Soldier, it took this character, Steve Rogers, finally brought him into his own movie in the, regular world or whatever, current world, modern day. Thank you. That's I don't know why. And then it gave us like the Winter Soldier, and Winter Soldier has become one of my favorite characters. I want to see more of him.
I am not more excited for any show in my life.
Me too.
Than Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Yeah, me too. That's my top.
Winter Soldier gave us, to me, two of the best characters all around between Sam and Bucky.
Yeah,
Sam,
they're both
the Falcon,
awesome.
is just amazing. But talking about the Winter Soldier, that opening scene, from when they're in the aircraft to him jumping out without the parachute, the fight scenes between Natasha and Steve, and it's just amazing. But more than that, the fight scene between George St. Pierre and Chris Evans, we'll say Chris Evans did that, was amazing. Like, that is how you open a movie.
But yeah, the opening is phenomenal, but then you got the elevator scene. You got the numerous.
Oh God, yes.
You got I think it has some of the best fight choreography in all of the MCU movies. Period.
Yeah.
Period.
I think Winter Soldier is really up there. Like for any other one, like one of the most fun ones for me, anyways, is Ragnarok.
Yeah,
Ragnarok. I just love it because it's actually directed by a comedic director,
right?
Yeah,
and a comedian, so it hits the comedic beats like on point.
Yeah,
and it's perfect for that.
Yeah,
I like
it's
that.
It's going to be really interesting to see how Love and Thunder is going to be done with whether it's going to be the passing of the torch kind of a thing.
I don't think
how they're going to deal with the Guardians being in it as well. It's going to be interesting to see. Yeah,
Christian Bale. Yeah. Who I am so excited to see him as the bad guy.
Yeah.
In man, I'm stoked. He's so good.
I wonder if Thor's going to turn into a frog in that one.
Sure.
It's in the comics.
Sure. I don't know.
It's literally a frog for like a bunch of issues.
I think
it would be good I
just want him to still hold one of the hammers.
Yeah. If he can have the helmet that locks like in Ragnarok as the frog and still wield like a mini Stormbreaker.
That's it. That's all I need.
Just give us a frame of it.
There's your $1 billion. Just
right there.
That's it.
Build around that. All right. So mine, I'll be honest. You took my MCU. I had MCU in my top. But to me, it's a trilogy. It is my childhood. I want it to be this main character so much, not in the sense that I had a best friend that was way older than me.
I knew you were. I do
not understand the dynamic between that. It's just we look at it and we go, okay. My absolute favorite is Back to the Future. More than life itself. And even though Back to the Future is only a trilogy.
Okay, so because once you add TV shows, that's like so much. Tell
a beautiful and wonderful story between this young man and an older guy. Maybe I shouldn't have done. I don't know.
It sounds weird now when you really say it out
when
loud.
When you break it down of what it is, and to me,
potential incest. It's all kinds of cuckoo.
Oh yeah, the movie, that's what did it for me. No, I'm just kidding.
That's what was okay in the 80s. That's what concerns me.
Yeah.
Okay, no, the movie itself, if you describe it as it is without actually putting any context or whatever, it sounds like a really messed up movie.
It's gross.
But it is arguably, I've said it, the first one especially, could be described as a perfect movie.
Yes.
I don't think you can change anything about it at all. Like, it's so fun. I watched it for over 30 years. Like, I remember seeing...
We did an episode on it.
Yeah, we did. And I remember watching the second and third one in theaters. I think I was only 1 or 2 when the first one came out.
Leah Thompson liked our post.
She did. Yes.
Awesome.
Yes, she did.
But everything around it from Michael J. Fox, who I'm, just a huge fan. Christopher Lloyd, just an amazing actor. The car, the music. Tom Wilson is, to me, one of
Zemeckis
the best
nails it,
villains.
man.
Yeah, but the one movie that does it for me is part 2. Being a kid out of the 80s, we were so obsessed with what is the future going to be like? The flying cars and everything like that. And it was, I thought it was cool because in that movie, we got to see the future and then we got to go back and try to rewrite the past. All right. So circling back around here, because this is a snake draft, I get the first pick in the second round. So my 2 and 3 are kind of interchangeable for different reasons. But when I look at the spectrum of movies that we got from it, the unbelievableness of what this franchise did for people's minds and being able to go, yeah, right. Okay, that'll happen. Especially with the last trailer that we're still awaiting.
Final Destination.
Damn it. No.
Magic Mike.
I have to go, and I know some people are going to make fun of me, but I am just an unbelievable. I'm just I'm such a fan. I am a fanatic of this franchise, and that's got to be
Dumb and Dumber.
No, The Fast and the Furious.
Yes. I just love how ridiculous these movies are. I really do.
It is.
They're so
because it's not the writing
that they're fun.
It's not the writing.
No.
Well, I mean, I'll give you a little bit of like Fast and Furious. The whole Letty storyline and everything.
Well,
was good.
Admittedly, I think because I think I've only seen all the movies like once, except I haven't seen like Tokyo Drift. The only one I've seen more than once is Hobbs and Shaw, actually. But I know, but
it's not, but it is.
But let's be real, the best one is Too Fast, Too Furious, because you didn't need Vin Diesel in these movies. But I'm just joshing with you. But no, I mean, in my opinion, I think this series really took off once you introduced The Rock, because the series itself, it changed its dynamic. Like it started out this, the first movie was this just kind of street racing with like some drugs or whatever it was. Mm-hmm. And then now it's taken a dip into like the fantastical.
Right. So, and it's funny to sit there and look at the franchise as a whole. The first movie, you have race wars, stealing car parts, all this kind of stuff. We knew about Dominic Toretto. We knew about his past. Like we knew he had a past.
This is like a quarter mile a minute.
But we didn't know too much. And then you had Too Fast, Too Furious, where it was like, amazing. Okay. So
Ludacris Afro in that was fantastic.
Oh yeah. Ludacris, the bridge scene in the beginning is just hilarious to me. Then you had Tokyo Drift, to where I don't think they really knew what to do with these movies. They were just like, this one made this much money. This one made this much money. Let's do this. Let's go to Tokyo now. And it was one of those things, one of those kind of movies to where it was like, let's just put it in a different geographical area, and this happens. And
isn't there like a weird like order to it in terms of chronology?
There is.
Tokyo Drift is like after 6.
It's like the second movie, but it's like the sixth
after
movie.
7, I believe. After 6 or 7, yeah. Mm-hmm. 4, you had the whole situation with Letty and everything. 5, you bring in The Rock. 6, 7, Brian passed away, Paul Walker. And then you had 8. So to pick a movie out of that, not necessarily what is my favorite.
Hobbs and Shaw. We talked about this.
No. Again, Hobbs and Shaw for me is a great movie. It is not a Fast and the Furious movie. It doesn't really follow
It's faster
That
and
same-
more furious.
even more fast, even more furious. I don't think it follows the same algorithm as
No.
a Fast and the Furious movie.
No, it's a buddy comedy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It is 48 hours on steroids.
That is an accurate description.
Where it takes them 2.5 hours to learn that teamwork.
Yeah.
is the
No, I will
lesson.
say for Hobbs and Shaw, it was that prison scene for me was just amazing. The music and everything behind it, it was phenomenal. But no, I think the one that stands out for me is the Fate of the Furious. Being that I lived in Cleveland for a little bit, was able to see them like doing the setup scene for whenever they.
Oh, you were around the production.
Yeah, I was. I walking down the street, literally walking down the street downtown.
That's cool.
And you see, it's the scene where they shoot the grappling hooks into the car. It's that scene, and I'm like sitting there at the corner because they were all setting up for for the shots and everything, not knowing what it was I was gonna be witnessing, and it was the most amazing thing. But more than that, you had Shaw, Jason Statham's character, really come into as a good guy. The plane fight scene with the baby, hilarious.
That was such a good scene.
It was just a great movie, especially, and then Charlize Theron. I thought she was a really awesome bad guy.
Dude, Helen Mirren is gorgeous, and that woman is old enough to be my grandma.
And now you have Fast 9 coming out to where
Justice for Han.
Han's back. How? We don't know. But they'll make
nobody
it work.
dies except if they really die in real life in this film series, which concerns me.
I think. Well, what's her name? Gal Gadot, and her character died. Giselle.
Yeah. Well, did she? We didn't see a body.
Come on, she fell out.
She's gonna come back.
We did not
as
see a
Diana.
body.
We all know.
We
this.
saw Han in a car.
There's going to be
flip 700 times. The car blew up. Jason Statham called Dom and was like,
no
"I'm
problem
coming for
with
you."
Loving this
And
franchise,
now he's
Dash.
back.
This is amazing.
And that's what it is, though. I think for me, it's the Fast and the Furious franchise is so unbelievable. It's awesome.
It rubs Josh in such a way. He's so upset. He's so upset.
No,
He's so angry right
it's
now.
the worst ever. Oh my god!
I gotta see the next one now.
It's true.
Look at the trailer for Fast 9. At one point, John Cena drives off of a cliff. They catch him in midair with a magnet plane. The next shot shows Dom drive off a bridge that's not connected to anything. And then the credits roll. What the fuck?
Dude, I love it. I love it.
This is what kills me though with these movies. Is because like I said, because the way it started out to where they are is so different. Like they could argue
what happened to Race Wars, where that was everything in their life.
Like, people die from regular things in these movies. At least they did. But like
they used to, but now you can deflect missiles with your bare hands.
COVID.
But Vin
Racing
Diesel,
for COVID.
Hold on. No.
Oh, that was dark.
Vin Diesel has driven off a cliff, like a cliff, and literally just walked up it. Like, no big deal. A cliff, not a little downhill.
Doesn't matter.
He did it for family.
Doesn't matter.
When you do things for family, when you do things for family, everything is possible. All right, Josh, what is your second pick?
Okay, see, this is hard because, I'm gonna go with. Okay, this is hard because two of my favorite franchises are only good at the beginning. Okay. And then they just became terrible or controversial or whatever. So I'm gonna go with Star Wars.
Okay.
Hey guys, behind me.
And I'm gonna initially. This is not This is not quantity. This is not quantity though, because in my opinion, really the only solid trilogy is the original.
Right.
I'm not saying that they're the only good movies, but even the prequels have a lot of their flaws. The sequels have a lot of their flaws, and I don't want to delve into those, but yeah, I mean, the original Star Wars trilogy for me gave me my second favorite fictional character of all time, and that's Luke Skywalker. Man, as a kid watching him fight Vader first, when he loses his hand with the blue lightsaber, then having the green saber, it's just, man, George Lucas had something special, especially with that original trilogy. And yeah, like it's my childhood along with Back to the Future, and yeah, so I got to go with that trilogy for sure. And the movie for me, again, I will also be controversial, I suppose, because I really loved Return of the Jedi.
How dare you?
Even though I recognize Empire is probably the best movie.
Empire, yeah.
Dare you?
It's just I loved watching Return of the Jedi as a kid.
You just wanted to make out with an Ewok.
I did.
Dude, I just realized.
Man.
That explains our friendship. I'm as hairy as one.
Princess Leia gold outfit. Yeah.
So it's Return is what did it for you.
As a kid.
Right.
But I mean, now, yeah. I mean, obviously there's all these movies have their share of flaws, but that original trilogy, I think, is a perfect story from beginning to end.
Mm-hmm.
It's Luke has the classic hero's journey.
Right.
I don't know. There's what else can be said about the original trilogy?
It's really
exactly.
It's so well done, but it's because it was so simple at the time.
All right, Joey.
All right, going off of my little rant that I just had, I'm gonna go with the Godfather series.
Okay.
It's a wild franchise for me. My favorite.
There was no Godfather games.
Retroactively, I'll bet you there are. Can you
imagine? Oh no.
There probably are, dude. Like, again, these are adapted from books to begin with. At least the first one is. Right? And also the good thing too, and funny enough, the guy who also wrote the Superman script punched up and rewrote his novel to be a script for this movie, for The Godfather.
Mm-hmm.
Mario Puzo wrote Superman.
Oh, that's crazy.
It's wild when you really think about it. And the other thing too is, like, if you go, really, this movie wasn't expected to do anything. And then it comes out, it wins the Oscar. I think Brando gets best actor for it. Mm-hmm. And I think that was the Oscars where he sent that native woman to accept his award.
Yeah. He wasn't there.
Yeah, so he didn't go. But anyways, and it's just all kinds of crazy things. Like, if you were to watch the first movie, that first scene, the audio isn't synced up properly. There's actually a delay. Like, there's a lot of glaring technical mistakes in this in Godfather 1 for sure. And it's just because at the time, not only was Coppola going a little over budget, but it wasn't expected to do anything. So they kind of just yeah, sure, whatever, let it happen. And then lo and behold, it becomes one of the biggest movies of 1975.
Wow.
And yeah, so there's a lot of little things in there. And the other thing too, the production itself was, me being Italian, and I read up on the whole thing, and I've even written the annotated script of this movie with all of Coppola's notes in the margins and all that stuff. And it has all kinds of pictures in the book of what it was like on set and whatever. And it was literally just hanging out with an Italian family. That was production. So that's one of the other things too. And Coppola is because of this, one of my favorite directors. One of the reasons why I like his version of, Dracula and other movies that he's done. But then you go and look at Godfather 3 and they decide that Cousin Love should be in the movie.
Funny enough, I have never seen any Godfather movie. Never.
It's one of those time investments, man.
Yeah. And I think that's what it was for me, knowing that the movies were long, that I was, and I think I was too young. It wasn't until I was older to where I saw Goodfellas, Casino, movies like that, to where it wasn't that I didn't care. It was, I was too young to be invested.
Good.
Fair enough.
And appreciate great cinematography. You know,
I didn't see Goodfellas till I was like 21, 22.
what?
Yeah.
Wow. I'm gonna do that.
Oh, see, I can take it off my end.
No,
I just
it's been taken off for all
I
of
just
us.
took
so
yeah, I
that'll
just took
be
it off altogether.
Mm,
No, I just don't want that to
Pizza Hut
be like
crust.
boom in the thing the whole time.
fair enough.
Yeah. So the people at home watching, it's not going to be up there anymore. I just much rather see your faces than that fucking screen, and right in the middle the whole time. So we'll come back to it at the end, and so yeah. All right, Joey, we're the first pick in the third round. What
Yes, I do, don't I?
Yes.
Let's see here. I think I will go with the Nolan Batmans.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
let me ask you this.
Yeah.
So when we're talking about a franchise, I think you have to put, and if we're saying Batman, I think you have to look at it as Batman as a whole.
So like all of the Batman movies,
all of the Batman movies,
but they're
because it is a,
but they are a
brand. That is a brand.
That's different though. That's not the franchise
though. The
Okay.
franchise would be the original Keaton run.
Okay.
Yeah.
But hold on. Were we saying that all these franchises have to be? Did you say 3 or more than 3?
Three or more? Yes, I would say 3 or more, because if you just do a
Oh,
movie and a sequel,
there's
really
a million of
franchise,
them.
that's just a sequel.
No, but there's so
Right. So okay, I'll give you Nolan Batman.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what is it?
It's arguably the best trilogy of all time.
It's for me. It was the whole
like what is
the Dark Knight
movie?
film, the movie Dark Knight. That thing is. I mean, we've had this conversation on your episode with us about how much we love this, and it just goes to show this movie is it was the best out of like it's still to this day. I mean, Endgame and Infinity War were good, but for me anyways, the Dark Knight is the benchmark. It is like for a superhero film in this current history, in this current moment in time, because all it takes is one movie to be better than it, and it can happen. For anybody to say that it wouldn't happen is crazy.
So would you put Dark Knight over Endgame?
I would.
Really?
I would.
I probably would too.
Wow.
I really would. I mean, I'll be honest, there are moments of Endgame that it felt like it kind of lagged. I never got that feeling with Dark Knight. And the other thing too, at least for me, you kind of have a better idea of what's going to happen with Endgame, because at that point,
right,
it's
fan service, the movie.
It's fan service at that point, and also I would argue though, out of those two movies, if we're talking Endgame and Infinity War is the better film.
Yeah,
it's the better movie. It's more interesting. It's got a lot more emotional stakes.
Okay.
Because that's where everything happens, right? Everything goes to hell. They actually fail.
Yeah.
Right. And in Dark Knight, you kind of get that sense too, where Batman could fail. And he only really figures it out solely because on the hope that, Harvey Dent doesn't do anything terrible. And he almost does.
Yeah.
If Batman doesn't get there in time. And he just gets there like right at the nick of time.
I will give you this. I disagree with you that Dark Knight is a better movie than Endgame, respectively.
Fair enough.
And that goes to your opinion, and to Ledger as the Joker, is probably arguably one of the best, if not the best, superhero villains.
Yeah. He steals that movie.
Christopher Nolan did something that I think few directors have the ability to do, and that is marry a soundtrack with characters that make you want to care And I think what Bale did for Bruce Wayne, for the character of Batman, and what Ledger brought to the Joker, as well as Anne Hathaway, because that was later, as well as what Aaron Eckhart did for Two-Face, I think he did all that with only one movie before it. Mm-hmm. There wasn't, I think, since Star Wars probably, that a sequel was, like, people were more ready for a sequel.
Mm-hmm.
Seeing Gordon flip that card, and you seeing that Joker, and not knowing what we were going to get. Like, we knew we were going to get the Joker. We had no way of preparing ourselves for what Ledger brought to the character.
Well, I think, admittedly, too, at the end of, because Batman Begins is a solid movie.
Oh yeah,
it's a solid movie. I think
Cillian Murphy as Scarecrow.
Yeah,
love it.
But it lays the groundwork really well for the whole series. But the thing is, it flips the card, and we're like, oh, sick, Joker. But we're like, at the time, remember, this is only 2005 when that movie came out. Everyone's like, who's gonna be better than Jack Nicholson?
Exactly.
Like, who's gonna do a better job? Yeah. Right. And then, so that's number one. And then when they finally cast Heath Ledger, we're like, that kid from like 10 Things I Hate About You, and, like,
exactly.
Knight's Tale. What? And then, sure enough, we get an Oscar-worthy performance and a truly
Oscar-winning.
Oscar-winning. That's
Oscar-winning performance.
That's what I mean. Like, Oscar-worthy, Oscar-winning.
Yeah. And he didn't just get nominated; he won the damn thing.
Yeah. Yeah. And you know what? Whether it's posthumously or not, it's like, no, he won an Oscar for that role. I remember seeing it in the theaters, and I was working on the ships at the time, so I saw it in this little. I only saw it one time in the theaters, which sucked because it was this little theater in Alaska, and it was still cool, but I remember watching it. And what's cool about the Joker in that movie specifically is you never know what he's going to do. You never know if he's saying is a lie or if it's the truth. Like, you never know. He says, I'm like a dog with a car. Like, I never know what I'm going to do if I catch it or whatever. Yeah. But that's not what he's like at all. He's specifically saying certain things to get people to do certain things. And he's banking on they will do it. Anyway, he just has this wicked plan that ends up working. And he's got other plans going on at the same time. And you're just like, and on top of that, he's actually a formidable opponent physically too. Like, obviously he's not as good as fighter as Batman, but he gets some good hits on him. He actually stabs him. He actually kills people in the movie, like, by using his hands or a pencil. Like,
and that's what I'll say. The pencil scene and the fundraising scene is what do it for me. Especially the fundraising scene of seeing how he interacts with regular people and joking with him and joking with them, like, you know him? Do you know him? It's those quirks to where you go, this dude ain't all there. Like, we knew he wasn't all there, but like, he's just fucking with you. Like,
yeah. The other thing too is, like, the Dark Knight itself can stand alone without Batman Begins.
Yeah.
And it doesn't need the sequel either. It's on its own. It's strong enough.
Yeah, and that's what
for me, but that's what makes it better than, say, Endgame, because Endgame and Infinity War are one movie. They're just extended.
Oh yeah.
They're one story.
They're one story, right? So there you go there. But again, Endgame is just a conclusion, and it just wraps up everything.
Mm-hmm.
This one it's in the middle of everything, and it's just this standalone story where you potentially, as an audience, you know Batman's gonna win, but it's just more interesting seeing how Batman wins.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And I think the other thing too,
and he doesn't really win, though.
No, he doesn't.
That's another thing. Like, he wins, but he doesn't.
It's very much like almost like a European movie. But there's kind of a happy ending.
Yeah.
The hero kind of succeeds.
But he succeeds by sort of sacrificing.
I mean, if you
himself.
think about it, like exactly. So by the time we get to Dark Knight Rises, Batman has been essentially in exile.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
What's also cool about The Dark Knight, and this is and actually, for the most part, Nolan's entire trilogy, but Dark Knight specifically, every single person, whether they're big or small, brings their A game in terms of acting and believability. And you have, and Nolan cares about the characters around Batman too. Like Gary Oldman as Commissioner Gordon was fantastic.
Yeah.
You know, and he's not the driving force of the movie, but he ends up being a huge part of it. And you know, you forget that this is a British guy. You know, well, actually, he's British. Bale's Welsh. Heath Ledger's Australian. You know, you have all these guys that are playing these American characters.
The only American was Aaron Eckhart and Maggie Gyllenhaal.
Yeah, well, and Morgan Freeman.
And Morgan Freeman, but he wasn't in as much as those two.
But you know, you had these. But either way, it's like Gordon ends up being such a big part of the film, and you know, in the lore of Batman, Gordon is important, but he's not Batman or the Bat family. And he does such a great job. Maggie Gyllenhaal, you know, Rachel, that's a made up character for the movie. And she had to replace Katie Holmes. And, you know, she comes in just to be killed off.
Yeah.
And she still is a solid performance, you know? Anyway.
And that's not to say that Katie Holmes' performance in Batman Begins was bad. It was pretty solid too.
I thought it was good, but I think
it was good.
The scene in the car where she slaps him, I was just like, you saw the friendship, you saw the betrayal at the same time, and that's one of my favorite things that I wish whatever was going on between Tom Cruise and Katie Holmes at that time, I wish hadn't happened then, because I would have loved to see Katie Holmes, not taking anything away from Maggie, but no, I hate recasting.
It's just for continuity. Like you want to see same, you know, hey, I feel that way personally. Like Don Cheadle's a fantastic actor, but I actually really like Terrence Howard.
Yes.
As Rhodey.
I love what he done with it. I would have
to see him.
It would have been interesting to see what he would have done with the character.
Yeah. 100%. 100%.
All right, Josh, on to you. Your third pick.
Okay.
Where are we going?
So again, same thing. I was gonna originally go the American Pie movies, but no, I was not. I gotta go. Okay, so for terms of a franchise, I gotta go with John Wick.
Oh snap!
You know, because we have 2 more movies coming out, and so far, you know, I was gonna say something like Terminator or whatever, or
you still can.
I still can, but you know, I feel like for show purposes, we kind of gotta maybe speed up a little bit. So I'm
getting a little too excited.
I'm just gonna say the John Wick movies. There's been 3 of them already within 5 years. You know, from 2014 to 2019. Each one is a freaking ride. They are fantastic. I don't think any one of them could even be considered remotely a divisive, like, bad film. They're all so damn good. Like, you know what you're getting into it. This is just an action movie about a former hitman or whatever, and that's it. And it's some of the best, like, fight choreography, like gung fu, whatever you want to call it. Just awesome. I want this franchise to go on forever. Period. That's all I'm gonna say.
Please do not roast me. Please do not roast me in the comments. I absolutely hate. I can't put into words how much I hate this movie. This
what?
Franchise.
How?
I'm dead serious. I'm dead serious.
You're lying.
I was waiting.
I know.
You're trolling right now.
No, I'm so not. I wish I was. I wish I was.
How though?
Because this trilogy is all based on
awesomeness.
And this I want to watch my words. Because of the state of the world that we live in, it's so easy to get canceled for saying something. I love animals. I do.
Are you saying his actions were a little excessive over a dog?
And that's what it
was the dog and his car.
That's true. It was his car.
It was the dog that his dead wife gave him. Come on.
If you could see people who are not watching them, and I went into it. I think the second one was out already. Yeah, the second one was out already. The third one was getting ready to come out. So I was like, you know what? It's not that I'm not a Keanu fan. I am. I love Keanu. Matrix. My absolute favorite movie that he did was called The Night Before. If you've never seen it, it is an 80s cult classic. Him and Lori Loughlin. Anyways, I went into it open-minded. There was I'm one of these people that if there's so much hype behind something and I wasn't on the ride to begin with, and I'm 2 or 3 things behind, I'm going into this overhyped.
See, that might be why
John Wick was so overhyped that it was this phenomenal action movie that I was like, okay, I get that, I get it. That I should probably drop my standards a little bit just so I won't be like I was bored the entire time when he started killing everybody. And it was over the dog. And again, I love animals, but it almost came off to me. And I think a lot of this was probably because it was so overhyped for me. That it was a little unbelievable for me. Somebody would react like that. If that was in today's world, they would have gone in front of the judge and they would have been like, you did this because of a dog? You're going to prison.
No, but that's the whole point. It's a different world, though. Like, that's the whole point. They have this, like, I think the whole lore of it, they have this underground world. People are paid in gold coins. They have these hotels that, are just for, like, mafia people. I don't know. I think it's so sick. Dude, the third movie, Halle Berry kicking butt with those dogs. John Wick killing a guy with a book. Are you kidding me? Like, dude, it's fantastic. It is so.
You have to go into these movies. You have to really suspend disbelief quite a bit.
It is the Fast and the Furious with Keanu.
Essentially,
it's better. Keanu is like I think they were in talks though.
Easily, yeah, that's what it is.
I think they were in talks to have Keanu in some of the new Fast and Furious movies. Though.
Probably.
And again, I'm not.
There's the argument, but there's the argument that the voice at the end of, or the voice in Hobbs and Shaw, that computer generated voice,
right?
They're saying that might be Keanu Reeves, because that guy's got to come back.
Again,
I'm gonna be like a whole thing,
right? I'm not knocking John Wick. I'm not whatsoever.
Lies.
To each
you are a liar.
It wasn't your thing, man. I get it.
It just wasn't my thing. But I can say I'm not knocking it because I am. My second pick was Fast and Furious.
I think
and that's a movie trailer. That's a movie franchise that when people see that trailer, to go, really.
You need to go back into John Wick with an open mind.
How I am with John Wick, to where I'm just like, I watched the first movie, and again, maybe I should watch the second movie. Maybe I should watch the third movie. But it's also one of those things to where when people go, "Hey, you should watch this show," it doesn't get good to the 5th season. What the fuck am I going to watch the first 4 goddamn seasons for then?
Yeah,
like
that's true.
If the second and third movie don't, if it doesn't really pick up until later on, why am I going to watch the first one just for context and boredom?
Dude, John Wick takes up.
Need to see 2 and 3. I don't know.
John Wick picks up from the get-go, man. Shimon.
Yeah, John Wick's pretty cuckoo bananas. It's
which
pretty wild.
Which one is it though for you? Is it 1, 2, or 3?
Ooh. Me, it's 1. Okay. I love 1.
I would say, yeah.
It introduced you to everything, and it just does not take its foot off the gas pedal.
I will say
all
that
the way
it was go the whole time.
I will say the first one as well, because admittedly, if there is a movie of the 3, if that actually I kind of feel could be the weakest, it would be the second one. Admittedly, it's still so good, but the first one has this, in my opinion, great start to the story. Second movie kind of builds the world a bit, but the third movie, Parabellum, holy crap, there is some good stuff in that one, I gotta say. So I don't know, but yeah, I'd say the first one. The first one hooked me. So and I saw it like short. I never saw it in theaters, but it was shortly after.
It was the thing with that movie, John Wick 1. At least for me, it kind of came out of nowhere.
Yeah, because Keanu had sort of kind of come back a little bit, but doing these really weird movies.
And it was like
I don't know 47. If they do that on purpose, and I don't know that much about John Wick, but just for you to go that he had come back at for some point, I really just want to clip that in that part where he goes, "I'm thinking I'm back."
Yeah. Do it.
I mean, that movie just sort of like it comes out of nowhere. and it's like a freight train hitting you
Yeah.
with the amount of action that's in it.
Yeah.
And I think your issue is you're trying to sort of merge it when you're not approaching it in the same fashion as you would approach Fast and the Furious. I think you were expecting a very different movie.
I think I was too, and I think it was because that first 5 minutes you got to see this relationship, and I think it was, you know, even though we didn't need that much backstory to go, this is what's going to happen because of this. I think because of that first 5 minutes to see the relationship that he had with this woman, and then you have the dog and everything, and it's like, oh, kisses and butterflies, and now the dog's dead,
and then all hell
just goes, murder.
Like, I mean, so hey,
if you come at it from the same sense that you go at the Fast and Furious movies, you might enjoy it a little bit more.
Yeah, and you know, hey, the third one involves some like dancers, like I mean, legit ballet dancers, and there's like this whole little like world. And another thing, apparently they are doing a spin-off. I had heard it was Chloe Grace Moretz that was doing it, and they were delving into the ballerina side of it, but it's like all mob and crazy. And anyway, and you got same thing, like these actors or this director or whatever, they're getting these people out of it that just want to have fun. Like Lawrence Fishburne came back. You got John Leguizamo. You have Angelica Houston in the third one, Halle Berry, Willem Dafoe in the first one. You know, anyway, they're just so much fun, those movies. I can't wait. 4 and 5 are going to come out.
I don't know. Maybe one day I'll
I say come back to it. Come back to it. Maybe like, I don't know. When you're not so overly hyped from people for it, come back.
Yeah. Right. I'm not trying to tell you that they're amazing. I just think if you come at they're not good.
They're not Academy Award or
they're not good movies. Jesus. What they are fun.
Okay,
but I think
it's the same idea. It's the same idea as Fast and Furious. The world, I
think they are good movies
on ridiculousness.
Yeah,
well, Josh is wrong. No, I'm just kidding.
Josh is always wrong.
All right, so we're going into my 2 picks here because we're going into 3 and 4 rounds. My third pick, and again, this is going back to where I was kind of double dutching, trying to figure out where I was going to go with Fast and the Furious. I'm looking at my 3 and 4, and even my 5 now are all in this area. I think for the stunt work that is done, for the actors who are maybe B-list, C-list actors who are put in with a probably one of the, if not the top-notch A-list actors of cinema for now, along with a great soundtrack song, but for more than anything, it is when somebody can take their arms and cock them.
Yes.
My third pick will be the Mission Impossible movies.
The
Mission Impossible franchise.
Yeah.
I have only watched one.
No, you haven't.
What's wrong with you?
What other one? I've only seen the first one.
You saw one with me in the theaters, dude. We saw Rogue Nation together.
I don't remember this.
Mission Impossible. So
this did not happen. I refuse to remember this.
Dude, come on.
I think we live in a world where the first movie is by itself. I think the second movie is by itself. 3, Rogue Nation, Ghost Protocol, Fallout are all together. Because when you look at the
third one,
to me, and that's the movie, and that's the one that sets it apart for me. That's, to me, is the beginning of this domino effect that leads into Fallout. Is what happens with Philip Seymour Hoffman's character. To me is I'll put him in top 5 of movie villains for me, because he's that smart villain. I don't know. It's just awesome. I'm a huge Tom Cruise fan. I think he can do no wrong in movies, at least. He can do no wrong. But it's a toss up between 3 is what made me fall in love with the franchise. Fallout is what is probably
Fallout is the most entertaining.
It is.
Sure.
It is.
For sure.
And it's the bathroom scene. It's the relationship between Tom Cruise and Henry Cavill.
Yeah.
It's the arm cock. Dude,
it's the mustache.
It's the mustache.
The stash. The stash that just shat
whole,
on an entire other movie franchise.
Yeah, but for me, actually, I thought the third one was one of the weaker ones. Really? I don't know what it was. I liked Philip Seymour Hoffman in it. I thought he was a smart villain, but he was one of those no nonsense.
Yeah.
In a spy movie.
Countdown scene.
Like, no. When he's like, no, she's dead in 5 seconds. Like 5. And then that's it. Like there was no games.
That eye where it's like clink and like that.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. And so I appreciated that, but I thought the movie itself as a whole was one of the weaker ones. And then I loved the second one as a kid, as a teenager. I was like, oh yeah,
the motorcycles coming at each other. Oh
yeah. The fight scene with Dougray Scott at the end, like all that was fun, but it's when because Ghost Protocol that had come out at that point. Tom Cruise's career had kind of lulled for a bit, and I was like, is this going to be any good? And then it was awesome.
Yeah.
Nothing can be said against Tom's acting abilities.
Yeah.
He is a good actor.
Yeah, he's a good actor. He's gonna win his Oscar. I think he hasn't done as many dramatic roles lately, but he's gonna win his Oscar.
What hinders him though about getting his Oscar is all that extracurricular shit.
Yeah. I think it's
right. All that other stuff. I mean, and going back to when he jumped on a couch on Oprah, from there and onward, the whole Scientology business type of thing. He's too boisterous about it.
Yeah, I think he's very headstrong on it.
It's fine. Again, I get it. It's what you believe.
Yeah,
but
and I think that's
as we all know, the academy is so iffy on a lot of things.
Yeah,
and here's this guy talking crazy talk, so to speak. And the academy is going to shy away from that. Hell, the academy has trouble nominating black people, let alone Scientologists.
There you go. All right,
let's be honest here.
No, yeah, definitely. My fourth pick is I'm going to go a little askew here.
Ooh,
the askew universe.
There you go. I was wanting to pick up on it.
Yes!
I'm bringing in the View Askew universe. Yes. I'm a big Kevin Smith fan. Jay and Silent Bob.
Dogma.
Thank you,
dude. Have you guys seen the newest one?
No.
The Jay and Silent Bob reboot.
The reboot I like, and
it's funny. It is funny.
But if you haven't seen Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back to have that context for it, like
if you haven't seen that,
it's just a weird movie.
But so is Jay and Silent Bob.
Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back is I remember a good fucking movie.
It's hilarious. Don't get me wrong. I love this entire film world that Kevin Smith has built. Right. I mean, and I think there's only 2 movies that he's made that aren't in it, and one is Jersey Girl, and I don't even know.
Jersey Girl in Red State.
Oh, exactly. Jersey Girl, Cop Out.
Oh yeah, Cop Out.
Tusk.
We forget about Cop Out. Tusk technically might be in it.
Oh God.
Technically.
Well, but I mean, you have the Mallrats. You have Clerks. Clerks 2, Chasing Amy.
Yeah.
Oh,
Chasing Amy is I'd argue
story to me
is the crown jewel in terms of films.
Yeah.
Out of this whole. Sorry.
No, I was gonna say the whole speech at the beginning of Lando Calrissian.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That is
perfect.
Funniest speeches.
What's a Nubian?
No, I think.
Isn't that true?
I think the movie that does it for me is it's got to be Dogma.
Yeah.
Dogma was a lot of fun.
I think
Yes.
Dogma is actually, that was what, his like fourth movie, I think.
By that time, yeah, because he had come out with Clerks,
Clerks,
Mallrats,
Mallrats,
Chasing
Chasing
Amy,
Amy.
Yeah.
and then Dogma drops.
And that was probably what put him on the map. Like officially, people were like, okay.
It was such an interesting idea that dogmatic law could, if these two guys or these two angels could walk, pass through the arches of the church, come out, wings gone,
Absolved of their
Yeah,
sins.
Exactly.
Best version of Loki.
Yeah.
Kidding.
Kidding. One of my favorite
No,
channels,
you're not. He's so good that the MCU is using him.
One of my favorite channels that I have just recently found is a Pawn Friar Review on YouTube. It's these two friars that look at religion in movies and TV shows and pop culture, and look at the ideology behind it. And it's so refreshing to look at it from a legit
Religious point of view.
Correct. Of the perspective that maybe not necessarily that it was intended for, i.e. Dogma with its comedic value, but beneath the surface of it, there is this ideology behind dogmatic law and Catholicism. And it's so refreshing to see how they look at it versus how, the comedic value that we get through.
Well, I mean, the truth is that Kevin Smith, this was his religion movie, but he is Catholic.
Right.
He has openly said, I was raised Catholic. I grew up Catholic. I am Catholic. Yeah. I'm just commenting on the silliness of dogmatic law.
Exactly.
Which is exactly what it is. I mean, and that's funny enough. And I think Josh and I have both sort of said this at some point and I know my roommate who hosts the Rebel Scum podcast for the reason of my insane background. He said that movie sort of made you question and rethink religion, especially Christianity. Right. And he did take a hit, and Kevin Smith did take a huge hit from Christian groups and Catholic groups and the church in general. Yeah. Be it whatever version of Christianity you happen to follow. But he took a hit from it. He goes, no, this isn't me making fun of things. This is kind of my love letter to it. But I'm also pointing out the glaring discrepancies in it.
Yeah. What is your fourth pick today, Josh?
Okay, so same thing. Sort of going along with Star Wars, another series that I grew up watching. And again, the good for me outweighs the bad, and Twilight. There's a lot of bad. No, Twilight, so sexy. I love that movie. Oh my god, Bella Swan, when that beautiful. Broke. Oh my god. Breaking is your shit. Oh god, I love it so much. No, I'm gonna go with the Terminator franchise, and to be honest, it's really only because of the first two movies. Like, let's be real here, people.
Oh, dude.
Right, yeah.
Judgment Day is shit.
Although, here's the thing. So first, it's funny, how we had talked about, sequels. T2 could be up there for one of the best sequels of all time.
T2 could also stand alone, though.
And if not, one of the best sci-fi action movies of all time.
One of the few sequels that I think
could surpass
the original.
Yeah. It's up there. So, but that being said, but still, the first Terminator was almost like an indie movie. Like, it didn't have that huge of a budget. Mm-hmm. And you get T2, which is the biggest movie of that year, and both are just phenomenal. And you could end it at that.
Yeah.
But people wanted more because it, it's so good. Then you get Rise of the Machines, which is a terrible movie, although it has a good ending. Yeah. Because the ending is totally like, what? It does not follow the format of the film. And then you get Salvation, which by all means, it should have been good.
Yeah, it should have.
You got Christian Bale as the lead. You had Bryce Dallas Howard.
Don't forget,
it was so dark and boring, and it was not good. And it was centered on the guy they were trying to make the next big thing with Sam Worthington, and it didn't work. And then
The other thing too around Salvation was all that stuff that came out on the internet about Christian Bale just blasting a PA.
Yeah.
My point is it that exchange and that getting out hurt sales of this movie.
It's possible.
I think it did. I know I was on board with the whole we're really pushing the Sam Worthington guy. More than that, Rain of Fire, I think, had just come out not too long before.
A while back. That was like 7-8 years before.
But I'm saying you had this actor, Rain of Fire, American Psycho. I'm like, this dude's got some good acting chops. Let me see what he can do in this Terminator movie. And then them pushing Sam Worthington as well. I wanted it to be better than what it was. I was so let down.
Me too. I saw it once and I was like, this sucks.
Yeah.
Now my guilty pleasure though is Genesis.
Yeah.
I know it's not a good movie. Yeah. I recognize that, but I've watched it a few times, and I still
one of the
like
worst
it.
CGIs in my opinion.
Oh yeah. It's so bad, but
Schwarzenegger's not supposed to look that smooth.
Exactly.
I don't care how young you are. You don't look. Maybe the real one is the CGI one.
But there's something about
your mind just got blown.
Yeah.
Just admit it.
There is something about that. And then I gotta say, I was so let down with Dark Fate. I
never saw the last one.
The other thing too, guys, is Terminator Salvation also came out after Dark Knight. Yeah. So we're expecting like this great performance from Christian Bale. And I think part of it too is just the story was lacking.
Yeah, it was because they meant it to be a trilogy. They meant to be, and that was dumb. It should have just been one movie set in the future about the war, and that's it. But it ended like apparently. I remember something happened with his heart, John Connor's heart, and then Sam Worthington's heart was given to him or something like that, right?
It was confusing.
Yeah, it was supposed to.
Well, like, wasn't Sam Worthington supposed to be the prototype for the
Terminators?
Yeah,
something like
that. It was.
See, the other thing that I think that came with it too is we were going into this. They were starting this thing that I don't like when they do stuff like this. Is Terminator 3 didn't count. Like this is the real sequel. And that's what they had started to do with these movies. And I think Salvation was one of those movies.
They did that with Dark Fate, because Salvation is supposed to be a sequel to Rise of the Machines, and then Genesis is supposed to be like a reboot, sort of, because they're going back in time again.
Gotcha, yeah.
And then Dark Fate though is supposed to be, and this is why Dark Fate to me is so disappointing, because it's supposed to be a direct sequel to T2.
Guys, I'm going to tell you something here, all right? And I'm still going on this Terminator Salvation kick because I'm looking a bunch of stuff up. Mm-hmm. That movie would have been so much better if they kept Terry Crews's role in it instead of cutting it from the final film.
I didn't even know he was supposed to be in it.
He was cast as Captain Jericho, but everything he did was cut.
Jericho.
He's only visible as in one scene as a dead body in the aftermath of a battle.
Oh, that's.
I'll have to look that up.
They cut Terry Crews out of the movie, and it's like it was obviously before Terry Crews was a big enough deal for it to matter. Yeah. But Terry Crews is awesome and didn't deserve such. They did him dirty. All right, they did Terry Crews dirty.
All right, Joey. Superman, Godfather, Nolan's Batman. Where's your fourth one going?
Anybody who knows me would have thought this would have been way higher on this list, probably number 1. But it is the 007 James Bond franchise. Huh? Arguably like the oldest film franchise and currently the longest running. Alrighty. At just over 50 plus years.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what's
or 60 plus? I can't remember.
This is a layered one, because obviously we want to know what is the one movie that does it for you in the franchise, whether it be the one that really solidified it as you as a fan, or which one is your favorite. Before we even get to that,
go right ahead, man.
Who is your favorite Bond?
Ooh, this is a tough one. It's honestly
full Macho Man on that one.
Ooh, yeah, brother. It is full honest to goodness a tie between Daniel Craig and Sean Connery. solely because Sean Connery for me is because going into what my favorite Bond and what solidifies this thing for me is Goldfinger.
Okay.
And here's the reason. Goldfinger is the first Bond film I ever watched with my granddad, and it's what hooked me.
Okay.
Right? It was literally sitting on my grandfather's knee as like a 4, 5, 6-year-old kid and just watching these movies with him. Right? So there's that. So there's that nostalgia factor for me.
Okay.
Personally, performance-wise, and just as a Bond character in total and how it's been written is the way they've done it for Craig.
Okay.
The Bond now compared to any other Bonds, and it's no fault of their own, really. It's just a matter of era.
Mm-hmm.
They've built such a much more in-depth and vulnerable and sort of just like a much more interesting character out of James Bond than what was given to you prior, including novels. Like I've read pretty much all the books.
Okay.
I'm currently in the middle of rereading Live and Let Die.
Okay.
And Bond is just essentially originally a one-dimensional character. He's the best spy there is, and that's pretty much it. In On Her Majesty's Secret Service, they give you a touch of it where he is, a bit more vulnerable and heartbroken. And if you watch that movie, which is funny enough, the only one that George Lazenby ever does, because that guy, he gets the job by some crazy miracle. It's a crazy story alone how George Lazenby got the job. He pretty much was just a model. He walked into an audition, claimed he was an actor, made up a bunch of movies that he said he was in Asia, which was all bullshit. And by the time he gets to like final like auditions, he tells the producer, he flat out says, "I'm not an actor, man. I didn't think I was going to get this far. I'm a full out fraud." And the producer says to him, "Listen, you have just duped some of the most hardest and like toughest casting people and, production people in Hollywood right now. I think you'll be fine."
That's some damn good acting, sir.
Exactly. Pretty much.
That's really cool.
There's a whole documentary on like that story alone as told by George Lazenby himself.
Gotcha.
The first Bond I saw in film were all the Pierce Brosnan ones. GoldenEye. That was like the first one I saw in theaters. And I loved it. And I loved the Pierce Brosnan. At least I loved GoldenEye as a kid. So I would go Sean Connery, Daniel Craig, close second.
See, I'm going to disagree with both of you.
Obviously,
because you had the same.
You're going to say T-Doll, aren't you?
Dude, don't knock T-Doll.
T-Doll Timothy
was
Dalton
awesome.
is my second.
He is an awesome
Timothy
Bond.
Dalton?
Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
He is a great Bond, and it's a shame because of a writer's strike, he missed out on his third one.
Yeah. I know a lot of people go with Pierce Brosnan, but I think in the time that I grew up,
he
was Remington Steele. And
yeah.
that ultimately was James Bond. He left Remington Steele to play James Bond. So ultimately he left Bond to play Bond.
Actually, he didn't.
And it was that was one of my favorite shows at the time. So
it's funny. It's funny you mentioned that, Dash, but he actually technically didn't.
Yeah.
So at the time that he was hired, I don't know if you know this.
No.
Right. Because he was actually hired to be Bond before Timothy Dalton.
Okay.
He was cast before him. So what happens is it was after like the first run of Remington Steele, so their first season, and they weren't sure they were going to get picked up. So Pierce Brosnan was like, "Yeah, sure, I will do Bond. I'm happy to do it. I want to do it." Like to the point where this guy showed up on set during one of the film days. I can't remember if it was for A View to a Kill or The Spy Who Loved Me, but it was a Roger Moore Bond that he was on set for, just visiting. And Cubby Broccoli and all the producers were like, "That's our next guy.
Yeah,
it's him right there." So they gave him the job, and he's halfway out the door to go to the official announcement as being James Bond. Doesn't his phone ring? And it's the producers of Remington Steele saying, "Hey, Pierce, great news.
Yeah.
We got picked up."
Yeah.
So he had to turn it down. But that being said, it opened the door for a great Bond in Timothy Dalton. And he was done dirty by a writer's strike and by people just thinking that at that time, Bond were just silly little action movies.
Yeah. No, I like Timothy Dalton. T. Dalton was good. My favorite is Roger Moore. I am a
Fair
Roger
enough.
Moore fan. I thought he had the look and
which
correct.
one of the Moore movies is your favorite?
Of all the Bond movies?
Out of all just Roger Moore movies.
Oh, Lord, I don't know. I don't think it's a movie that makes him.
Oh, you like just his persona and how he carries the role.
Himself. Yeah. I don't think it's a movie. It's, to me, when I look at James Bond, I see it's the hair, it's the face. Like, he was just a damn handsome man. And even into his old age, if you go back and look, did you ever see the movie Boat Trip?
Yeah. Yeah.
One of my absolute favorite horrible movies, Cuba Gooding Jr. Courageous Dad. But he plays like
that's strangely enough, that should be a franchise in itself, bad Cuba Gooding Jr. movies, but that's another story.
He plays this
poor Cuba.
This wonderful over the top queen that just keeps hitting on them and stuff. But he references himself as to a one-time work for the Queen's Secret Service, and it's just even into his old age and stuff how he's wrinkled a little bit and stuff. He's still such a handsome man.
That in the Spice World movie too, actually.
Really? Yeah.
He does it in Spice World.
Wow.
Does he really? Oh
he does. He references himself as a secret agent in Spice World.
Wow.
Obviously.
All right, so let's finish up here. Our last picks. Julie,
last round.
Yeah, this is gonna be the last one here. So
all right.
What is your last one?
My last one, and it's mainly because I've been doing a recent deep dive of it, is the Lord of the Rings franchise. Okay. These movies, I mean, they are dense, including the books. They are very dense, but just for cinematic awe, I will say the original three. So the actual Lord of the Rings trilogy. So Fellowship of the Ring, Two Towers, and Return of the King are great.
Yeah,
they're very good movies. Again, there's a time commitment that you have to give up to them. But in terms of drama, performance, and visually, like, these movies were made like 20 years ago now.
Right.
And the visuals still hold up.
Yep.
A lot of it was done practically. I mean, even Gollum sort of still holds up. And I'm still strictly saying to the original three.
Right.
When you get into The Hobbit and that franchise, it upsets me because the fact is, The Hobbit itself, I don't know if you've read the book or not, is like 120 pages, maybe.
No, it's like 200.
Okay, it's still a short book comparatively.
It's a movie.
It's at best one movie.
Okay.
They stretched it into three 3-hour films.
Yeah.
So everything pretty much aside from the main story, and especially because I had recently reread The Hobbit and then I watched the 3 movies and I'm like, this is too much. There's nothing happening. The worst out of the 3 for me, out of the Hobbit trilogy, is the second one. They don't even end things. It ends weird where you get to Lake Town and they, get into this whole altercation with Smaug and he starts setting the city ablaze as a dragon would. And then the movie ends.
Okay.
And then it picks up and they kill Smaug in the first 5 to 10 minutes of the third movie. Yeah. It's like, wait, no, these are 3 movies. These movies are all one movie. This is too much time dedicated to just filler.
Yeah. I remember it initially was advertised or as 2 movies. They were going to do a Hobbit 1 and 2. And I think it would have been fine. Like, you still could have done that. But it was just, I agree, man. I've only watched the Hobbit trilogy once, each movie, and it's like, oh my God. It took me a couple sittings per movie, except for the first one. Saw the first one in theaters. The other 2 I watched like on my tablet or whatever. And it took me several sittings for each one to get through them. I couldn't
but for me, the original Lord of the Rings, again, this is me personally. I understand this film franchise is not for everyone. I get that.
Right
Yeah,
here. I can't.
and
do,
I
I
get
can't
it.
do Middle Earth.
I get it, man.
Yeah.
It's tough. If you weren't into the books, if you want to do anything Middle Earth, if you're going to do anything Middle Earth, I would check out the 3 animated films from the early 80s, late 70s.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same story. They're much more condensed and they're just as beautiful in terms of animation.
Yeah, I can't.
Fair enough.
I tried, and when I say, but like I said, that's why
5
minutes, and
exactly.
I was like, I can't.
But that's why I recommend that. But those two movies, those animated films, were really my introduction to Lord of the Rings in general, because my uncle would show them to me as a kid.
Gotcha.
The second, I mean, the original trilogy, though, like, saw those multiple times. The only one I would consider slow at best, or at worst, I guess, is the first one.
Fellowship is tough to get through
because they do build a lot in that one, but man,
that's even Tolkien's writing.
But that's what I mean, and the thing is, Two Towers and Return of the King, just
like they don't like.
All right, Josh, what is your final pick here?
You know what? Tough one. I will go with the Harry Potter
franchise. Okay, I was wondering when somebody was going to say.
Yeah, it's hard for me to say though, because like my introduction to Harry Potter was the movies. I watched the first 2 or 3, and then I think the 4th one was coming out, and I was like, "Yo, I gotta read these books." Right. I want to actually, not even these books. I wanted to just read the 4th book, and I read the 4th, 5th, and 6th book, and that was all before the 4th movie came out. And then after I read the books, the quality of the movies changed for me, because I was like, "Oh no, they took out so much."
Right.
I was like, they're changing things. They're making it very Hollywood. But the thing is, trying to look at it, trying to separate them, they're still, even at worst, they're still good movies. The worst movie for me is the 4th movie, but it's still a good movie.
Right.
Like, it's still an epic feel to it. Again, same thing. There are things that happen for people. I don't know if you guys have read the books or anything like that, but, especially in the final movie, when they decided to split it up into 2 movies, which is great because the 7th book is so full. It's like 700 pages. Like, it's a big book, and they tried to put as much of the book as possible while adhering to what they'd set up in the movies. And I think they did a great job. I don't like the whole ending with Voldemort, him and Harry fighting. Nope, because it's not really how it happens in the book, but it's still well done.
As somebody who is a avid non-reader, I actually go out and petition other people not to read. So I can appreciate the people who go and read the literature before they watch the movie.
But still, I think they're great movies. Although the new ones, the Fantastic Beasts, the first one was okay.
Yeah.
The second one, I thought it was garbage.
I wasn't happy with either of them.
It was just a self-indulgent kind of.
You didn't need to make them.
Oh my gosh, no. And
I understand why you did. Harry Potter makes money.
Yeah, that's it made the least amount of money.
Yeah. All right, my last pick is a franchise that is very different than what we've seen. We have Superman, the MCU, Back to the Future, Godfather, the ever so popular with me, John Wick, Lord of the Rings, James Bond, Saw. Saw is my final pick. We're getting Spiral coming out, hopefully.
Nice. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Tobin Bell was the main character in the first couple films, and just elevated the horror genre villain to another level, but still made him human. Like, he was a person. He wasn't a guy in a mask. He didn't have claws, for fingers. He never killed anybody. And he was just this great person that eventually succumbed to a sickness. And but still, the game still played on through other ways. I don't have a favorite though, and I think it's just the 10 movies. Saw 1 was amazing. Don't get me wrong. Each thing brought. I say I don't have a favorite movie, even though Saw 1 was great. This is a franchise that when the new movie would come out, we would go see it at Halloween every year.
Yeah.
But before we did that, we had to watch the other movies beforehand.
Of course.
Every year it got like that. And it was, and I think because each movie depended on its predecessors, that's how the story kept going. That's why I say I can't choose one, because you can't have 6 without one.
Yeah, they all work so well for you then.
Yeah, they do.
I don't know. See,
each one is more twisted, no pun intended, twisted pictures.
Yeah.
They're all just, I think, great movies.
I think they slowed down in the middle ones, because I thought the first one was unexpectedly good. You're right. Nobody knew what we were getting from it. The ending blew everyone's mind. Yeah, everybody. Doesn't matter who you were. I don't care.
Dude stood up. The music is one
everybody
of my absolute favorite soundtracks.
Yeah,
that theme song brought back that feeling of
everybody lost it. But I gotta say, the second movie, because again, we're like, the second movie, I thought the ending to that one was better than the first one. Gotcha. I really did not see that coming. That the kid was there with them the whole time,
and the same,
and that she had been working with him. Yeah. I was like, what? That to me, I was like, they took the original twist and then elevated it. I was like, that was sick to me.
I think they missed a great opportunity, especially when the character Tobin Bell played, when Jigsaw passed. We were still second guessing ourselves 3 or 4 movies down the road, going, he ain't dead yet. He's been dead for 4 movies. Like, I think they missed a perfect opportunity for the first survivor to really take over. I mean, she helped in certain situations, but I think they missed a perfect opportunity because we haven't really, not that we haven't had a strong female horror lead. I mean, we had Voorhees' mom, Rosemary's Baby, stuff like that. But I think it would have been cool to see her put on the pig mask, to wear the cloak that Jigsaw wore and really take over as Jigsaw, the new one.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that's what they're going to do with Chris Rock here.
And that's honestly, I think that's why I feel the middle section of this series, like the fourth one, not good.
Yeah.
Like at this point, once they got to the third and fourth, like the third one, I feel was the weakest out of the first 3. And I think for some of the reasons you're saying, like Amanda, I think her name was Amanda in the movie.
Amanda, yeah. I always want to call her Shannon because that's her name.
Yeah. But Amanda dies.
Right.
He dies. So I just assumed
when she got shot, I was like, no. Like,
she gets shot.
We see you die. We never saw Tobin Bell. We never saw Jigsaw die.
Well, no, we did. He got his throat slashed with like a power saw. Like not even. Not even just like a little scrape.
When they peeled his head, I was oh, dude dead. He dead. He real dead. But when she got shot, I was like, oh my God. Like,
well, and that's it. So now at this point, it's just building on the fact that he's had more apprentices. Yeah. So you're like, okay, it's cool, but it's the first couple movies they had, I feel like, the most impact. Yeah. Jigsaw was okay, like the last one, and I'm just hoping that Spiral, although Saw 3D when you had Cary Elwes back, that was kind of cool to see.
I think the best one, the best ending, it's always the ending for me.
Yeah,
the torture chambers or whatever they want to do and stuff like that is all fun and well in a horror sense. But when when he fell back into the glass coffin, and was just staring at her, I was like, oh, that's a bitch. Like, dude.
He was staring at the guy.
Yeah, he was just staring at him. And I was just like,
oh, I felt
me out.
That sucked because that was the most like helpless ending ever.
And that's how I think the directors did a really good job. When from the actor just staring at him, we felt what they felt. Like, you can't do anything. And we were like, as people who were watching the movie, going, "We can't do nothing either, dude."
No, that was
amazing.
horrible.
I think
That was
really
horrible.
single-handedly, because a lot of the other horror movies that we had at the time, we're talking Paranormal Activity, The Conjuring. These were all more like psychological stuff. Not saying this Saw is not psychological, because
I'd argue Saw is a little bit more psychological because it does play with the fact of what is a person willing to do to survive.
Right, but I think it brought back that 80s feel of there's a person, he's coming after you, like no matter how fast you run, they can walk, you're gonna die. They brought back the individual and the feel of 80s horror, i.e. Child's Play, Nightmare on Elm Street, Friday the 13th, Halloween.
We didn't even mention Halloween, and Josh and I did an episode on that on the first one.
Gotcha.
Well, same thing though. Like that's the thing. I mean, at this point, a lot of these horror movie franchises are just if we're looking at fun quality, I go with Saw, because they almost make Saw like they're not made for a huge budget, but they at least the first one was almost made as not necessarily a horror movie per se. It was a drama, a crime
it was an
thriller
indie film that was not funded that well.
Yeah, but it was a crime thriller.
But sometimes like the low budget indie films are the big sleepers.
Yeah.
Or the more interesting movies to begin with. Like here in we have TIFF, right? The film festival. That's where I saw Tusk, and that's a weird movie.
Right.
And it again, Kevin Smith made it on a whim, essentially, because it all started from guys joking around about, a guy being turned into a walrus or whatever. So it's always and he did it on such a small budget, even though he didn't have to. Right? It's funny enough. And then like if you go looking at the film festivals themselves, if you are fortunate enough to live in a city that does a film festival or get an opportunity to go to a film festival and check out certain movies, it's always interesting. Like I found out, like I don't know if you know What We Do in the Shadows.
Yeah
Okay, the original one I think was at TIFF, like the when the movie came out, and I saw it then and I thought it was hilarious, and it made me want to watch the series afterwards.
Gotcha.
Right. So I really will always, I think sometimes people don't expect much, but on so many levels, sometimes the smaller budget movie, because they're doing it for a lot less, it's that much more of an effort too.
Yeah.
Do you get what I'm trying to say?
No, definitely.
Not to say like the big budget movies aren't good, because they are. A lot of them are. There's still drama in all of those, but I think certain things, right? Because like a smaller budget movie, more often than not, will have to do a practical effect over a digital one.
Yeah.
And practical effects, they just look better. They look real because they are real.
Yeah.
Right. So that's the major difference. That's why, I mean,
No,
sometimes
I totally
the older
agree.
movies hold up still, and they're like, it's been 30 years and it still holds up compared to a newer remake, because a lot of certain things and elements that were put into it.
Yep.
I think what's kind of cool too, like going back to the first Saw, and you know what, I'm going to tie this in with the MCU with like Winter Soldier. The first Saw, like, the Saw series is a horror, horror, torture porn, whatever you want to call it.
Right.
But the first Saw kind of transcends it. It dips its toe. It's not just a horror movie. It's almost like I said, like a crime thriller that has horror elements. Just like the Winter Soldier is like a spy thriller that happens to feature Captain America and the MCU.
Right.
So it's like I think that's what's good about the first Saw movie, and that's kind of why people were like, they knew it was going to be gruesome, but they didn't film it just as that. You look at some of the later Saws, and it's literally just, let's see how many deaths we can show in this movie.
Right.
In the first movie, they didn't do that.
No.
And even with like the first Halloween, that is a horror movie, but they only had like 5 kills.
I think the first one came off more of, this is going to be filmed in one room, and we're going to do flashbacks, and the flashbacks almost they gave off that Seven vibe.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Like the vibe of all the deaths that happen in the movie Seven.
But that's also what makes the first Saw that good.
Yeah,
it's literally majority of it is it's just two actors interacting.
Yeah,
and sometimes
it's like a play.
Yep.
Yeah,
you know, it's
exactly. It's like a play. It's like a TV bottle episode. It's like that episode of Family Guy with Brian and Stewie trapped in the bank vault.
There you go. Yeah.
It is that deep, and sometimes like those give you so much more.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep. All right, so let's take a look here. How do you feel?
Oh, we could have gone so much more. There's so many others, but
dude,
this is a good start.
We don't Planet of the Apes.
Yeah, we haven't even gotten to the Planet of the Apes yet. Like I said, this is a good start.
Indiana Jones.
Yep. Karate Kid.
Yeah.
Yes. 100%. Yes.
Even though the opening of Karate Kid is like 18 hours long.
Yeah.
Shut up. It's not even that long.
Dude, they travel across country again, much like a Peter Jackson movie in real time.
Yeah. All right, guys, listen, I so truly appreciate everything. Thank you so much for joining me here on my first show. GingerFlix, where can they find you?
So you can find us on Instagram at GingerFlix Pod. You know, we're on all the podcast streaming services, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, etc. GingerFlix, and that Flix is always with that X. But you can find us on the socials: Twitter, YouTube, TikTok.
Got that TikTok now.
Yeah,
TikTok now.
It's fun to play with. Why
He's
not?
been playing with it. It's been fun. He's been
I'm 42. I'm a man. I can't do TikTok.
Dude, there are people.
I do Facebook young. Because I'm old. I do Instagram because I love Instagram more than anything. So
yeah,
for social media at least.
Yeah, that's where you can find us. And then
awesome. I will link all of it. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say we got our personal socials if you want to look us up.
Yeah. Mr. Josh. Go ahead and plug it.
You know, I'm Mr.Josh.dance.
I'm Manjoni82. If you want to see what I have there, there isn't much, but
stalk them.
Stalk me real good.
Yeah, you know, we got you know.
Yeah, no, we'll put all the links to the social media and
our personal home addresses.
Yeah.
I live at.
What is your mother's maiden name and what was your first pet?
Yeah, my social insurance number is.
But no, guys, thank you so much for joining me here on my first show. Catch all their stuff on their social media, Spotify, wherever you listen to podcasts and everything like that. I will see you next Monday, 12 o'clock. Join us right here on Shorts and Hoodies. Peace.
Cut the check.